What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Making Podcasts Great Again. I am your tech stuff guy, Jay Nog, and we are here, of course, with the President of the United States of Mar-a-Lago, Mr. Donald J. Trump. Mr. President, how are you today?
Well, we're only a few weeks away from a very strong major occasion in America.
How are you going to kick Sleepy Joe out of the White House when this whole thing goes down?
With a very powerful, very expensive black shoe.
Okay, that sounds good. And Harris, how are you going to get her out?
We're going to order some Popeyes chicken sandwiches to the front door. And, maybe we'll even pay that lady from the commercials, the annoying lady who's like Cajun Louisiana chicken.
Yep.
And have her out there. And we might even order some Indian food as well, just to cover all our bases with Kokomo. And then when she, because she's the one doing the work. So then when she looks at it and goes, "Oh, is that my DoorDash order?" Secret Service will grab her and send her to Guantanamo.
That sounds perfect. I wanted a lot of topics to talk about today, but before we get into topics, our live podcast for our Perfect 10 Patreon Patriots, we've had some requests of our West Coasters are missing out.
Right, and by the way, these aren't our great ranchers in Oregon, okay, trying to take federal officials hostage. These are the weak. Oh, I have a job and I have to serve Starbucks coffee till 5:30 p.m., sir. Can we please push it back? So we're going to be nice to these losers on the West Coast and do the live episode at 9 p.m. Eastern.
That's right. It's August 19th, Thursday night. We're going back to Thursdays, 9 p.m. That's 6 p.m. Pacific. So hopefully more of our West Coasters can get on the stream. And that's patreon.com/MPGA. We had a few perfect 10s trickle in this week. And remember, we're going to announce about those T-shirts. We're going to get on those T-shirts in the next week or two and to make an announcement of how to order them this month as well for Idaho Militia, Christian, Bible, Tech, State, or however it goes.
College.
College. Sorry.
When you say state, it could be a prison.
You're right.
With state,
You're
you have to add the college. That's you know what? Okay, I see we were sent a very disrespectful
I tried.
tech stuff person who leaves off the college. Leaves it right off like it's not a real school.
Well, I wanted to talk to you about this. People have been trying to fight to see your tax returns for years now, since before you took presidency, and you're fighting the release of them. And there was an article that came out
very strongly, by the way.
Of course, you always do it very strongly.
No, sometimes
that's
it just
true.
says strength.
Strongly.
I'm telling you, this is the highest level. This is the very strong level.
Now, I just want to let you know, and we can talk about these things. Maybe you just want to reveal some because you're always an honest man and you have nothing to hide. So if your tax returns are released and you're fighting it, these are the things that we will find out, and I want to ask you about them. Maybe you just tell us straight up right now. Is how rich you are. It's reported that you are worth $2.4 billion. That's what you say. $2.4 billion. Is that truth or is that false?
No, that's actually false. I am actually worth over $10 billion.
So they're listing a fraction of what you're worth.
Right. I think, poor people tend to say billion, and that's a different measurement. What I'm telling you is I am worth 10 billion, which is a lot more than 2.4 billion.
You were worth it. I think it was reported you were worth, 15.4 billion, but that was back, I think, in 2004. And now you're only worth 2.4.
Right, but these numbers have always been wrong. I'm actually, right now, I just got a report that I'm actually worth $21 billion right now.
You just went up 11 billion in seconds. That's amazing.
It's, we're doing strong crypto. We're doing
Hmm.
strong uh, crypto, also
Okay.
Pepto. We've invested heavily in Pepto
That's
Bismol.
good.
So we're covering all the Peptos.
Now, I wanted to ask you about the next thing. It's who you owe money to. Are you in debt to anyone? Do you owe money to anyone that's going to be revealed? What do you have to say about that?
The way you say it, it's people don't realize in business you always owe. Everybody has, it's called leverage. You have debt. You create certain arrangements. But no, in the sense that you're talking about, I don't owe anybody money. I have properties. I have businesses that uh, involve some corporate debt and things like that, but not. I don't owe anybody money. There's no Russian presidents that I specifically owe money to.
Well, that brings me to the next question. Do you have any Russian ties? Because they will reveal.
No, sure. Well, when I went to Moscow to meet with Putin, the prostitutes were tied up in this very sort of, I don't know what he called it, but it was this very unique sort of fabric. And I said, Vlad, what is this? And he says, oh, well, you can keep that. And so once we were, dumping the hookers into the ditch, but let me get the nice little cloth, Russian cloth ties off their wrists. You don't want to waste that. So, but no, I don't have any other ties to Vlad Putin other than
Uh,
a strong friendship. I mean, that's a tie.
that is a tie.
Trump, Trump,
Organized.
Trump ties are also a very nice tie.
They're beautiful. Any organized crime
Do you
connections?
own any Trump ties?
I do not.
Okay, so
They're expensive. I won't spend that much money on a tie.
okay, well, you know what?
You can send me one.
Not happening.
Okay. How about any connections to organized crime?
You mean Hunter Biden? No, I don't have any dealings with Hunter Biden. Nope, zero dealings. Totally clean on that one.
Any mafias?
Who's the
It could
movie
be.
with? Remember there was a movie with Jay Moore called Mafia.
Yes, I do remember
I
that.
I, I own that on VHS.
That's awesome. I mean, like the Italian mafia, the mob.
Oh, they saw yesterday. I mean, you really want to deal with if you're going to deal with the mob today, it's you want to deal with the Chinese or the Russian mob, to be honest. So that the Italian mob, they have no juice anymore.
Any mob connections?
No,
Italian.
no
No.
mob connections whatsoever.
Okay. So you just told us which are the best mobs, but no mob connection. Okay.
Mob Deep.
I didn't know you were a fan of Mob Deep.
I rep Queens very hard. You should know that.
Okay. Uh, do you pay your taxes every single year?
Oh, excuse me. I pay taxes. I pay taxes when they're owed. Every time I owe taxes, I pay them very legally, very strongly.
Okay. Last thing I wanted to ask you is
I'm not
that
going to pay, if I don't owe taxes in some year, I'm not going to just say, here you go, have some money. I'm not Canadian, how they hand over all their money to their government.
no, I understand.
It's a total weak disgrace.
Curious about this. Do you donate to charity?
I used to. And then she got fat and quit her job at the Hustler Club. And I said, we're not giving any more money to charity.
I did not mean that charity was a person. I meant as
Well,
far.
to be honest, she's barely a person. With what she does with her body, it's a lot of the humanity is gone, but we still technically call her a person.
Do you donate to feed the homeless? Do you donate for Mothers Against Drunk Driving? Do you donate for suicide prevention? Do you donate for any mental health causes? Do you donate for that's the kind of charity I'm talking about.
I donate to. I do donate to. Well, didn't we discuss this? I thought we just. They used to have these charities for the ugly kids with the messed up lips. And
Yes.
I said, who wants that? best case scenario, you make an ugly kid a little less ugly, but he's probably still not going to be Brad Pitt. No, I remember I had a charity. We discussed it, I think, a little while ago, where we go across the world, mostly in America, but some in Europe, improving the cup sizes of hot young women.
Okay, that's really we did discuss that, but that's not the kind of charity that
Doctors Without Morals. That's our charity.
It's not the kind of charity that everyone else thinks about when they
Well, you
talk
should
about
see
charities.
you should see how happy you make the women when our great doctors go and say, you know, what would you like, ma'am? A double D or an F?
That is charitable. I take that back. I wanted to ask you, Simone Biles, you had some opinions about her letting down our country recently. She sat out for the first week of the Olympics, and now she is coming back. She didn't say she was out of it totally, and now she is coming back, and she's going to compete in one last competition, the beam competition. Why do you think she's coming back and just competing in this one last event?
Because all of the great, strong white men on Fox News convinced her to support our country. And that's why we can't have fake news. We have to have real news with real strong white men telling black ladies what to do.
You don't think it's probably because she's not going to be in the next Olympics and she wants to go out on top?
Oh, well, we're going to ban her. We're going to ban the crap out of her. I'm executive order. Simone Biles, no gymnastics.
It's Simone. Simon is a person. I don't even know who Simon is. Simone Biles.
Remember Michael Jackson? He was like, Simone?
No. I'm sorry.
Are you not familiar with Michael Jackson?
I am familiar with Michael Jackson. I just, you know, so many references, Mr. President, that you're a wealth of knowledge.
And then Weird Al did a joke with "I'm fat," and he said, ham on whole wheat."
Okay, I do remember that.
Oh, so you remember Weird Al?
I remember Weird Al.
Not our great Michael Jackson.
No.
Okay. I can respect if it's based on race. I can respect that.
Really, I don't think it's based on race. Do you consider Michael Jackson, since he got so much lighter, do you consider him a white man, or you still consider him African American?
I consider him. Let me put it this way.
Yes.
Not gonna date Ivanka. I hope that answers your question.
I wanted to ask you about the Olympics. Did you happen to see there's a viral video going on of Kevin Hart and Snoop Dogg talking about the Olympics? Did you happen to see that?
Well, I know that I was going to order Peacock, which is where it airs, the nasty Comcast NBC streaming.
Yes.
And I said, let's get Peacock. And then Mike Pence came running in and broke my TV. He was so excited. He ran in, you know how he runs with the clapping, and then he tripped and went face first right into the TV. He heard Peacock, and it was really disgraceful. So now Mike Pence is banned, and we're working on finding a new way to watch Snoopy and Catherine Hart.
It was rather entertaining, I must tell you. But so you're not rooting for Simone Biles, or are you going to root for her still?
Excuse me.
She is like competing for our country.
I'll be the first one to say that I think African Americans are almost as great as Americans.
Almost?
And yeah, it's very close. Excuse me, very not racist. I'm saying they're practically Americans. And so I want her to compete and be proud. But what she did was a total disgrace. What she did. First of all, getting that Larry Nasser in jail when he seemed to be just a nice doctor. We need our great. What a horrible thing to put a doctor in jail right before COVID. Okay, when we need all our medical professionals, I think that was a big mistake.
He's not a good doctor.
Did you go to medical school?
I didn't, but do you know what he was doing to all these gymnasts? He was sexually molesting them, assaulting them.
Okay, so basically, he was Jeff Epstein with a medical degree, and you expect me to think this is a bad person. This podcast will not have Epstein slander. Not now, not ever. You're fired after this episode. You should go to jail for what you just said. You are a criminal. A smooth criminal, by the way, which was a Michael Jackson song, which I guess you don't know.
I do know that one. But next thing I wanted to talk to you about, Mr. President, is I think this is probably the first celebrity who really rallied against you, and she had a fake severed head of yours. Do you know who I'm talking about? She held it up for it was supposed to be this artistic photo shoot.
Right.
And
This was Carrot Top's sister, right?
nah, she's not related to Carrot Top. She does have red hair though, orange hair. Kathy Griffin. Do you remember who she is?
Sort of a very annoying, very unfunny comedian who hung out with, I think, Anderson Cooper.
Well, very sad news. She has lung cancer and has never smoked a day in her life, she says, and she was diagnosed with lung cancer. Isn't that sad?
Some people hear sad, some people hear strong prayers from a Christian president answered.
So you think this is deserved?
Look, when Melatonin's son, Billy, saw the picture of his president with a severed head, he was very upset. And I don't like to see.
What did you say Melatonin's son's name is?
Billy. And he was very upset and very
Baron.
tall.
It's Baron. Baron. He's your son too, but it's Baron.
Well, no, I know Melatonin's barren because of all the cocaine during the modeling days, but I don't know. Sometimes miracles happen, even with beautiful, coked up European mail order bride whores. And he was so upset when he saw his president's head like that, that I told Mike Pence to get off his knees and start praying. And Mike Pence said, "Sir, I'm going to pray that she gets a horrible, horrible disease." And I said, "Mike, I endorse your prayers, so now God will listen." So probably the last good thing Mike Pence did.
Well, I hope Kathy gets better and fights this, but we could all have our opinions. Lollapalooza was this past weekend. Do you know what Lollapalooza is? What is it?
It's a very strong country in Europe, which we have. I think we have great relations with Lollapalooza. I talked to the president of Lollapalooza a few weeks ago. A very, very tough guy. Very tough. So
who is he?
Well, he's General Poolza, and he is a talented guy. He's a tough guy. He doesn't take any crap. I can tell you. But he's a strong leader, and we respect what they're doing in Lollapalooza.
Do we trade with Lollapalooza often?
Oh, we do. Thanks to me, by the way. Thanks to me.
What are they known for that we import?
They import certain plants that are made in medicines and other things that we use for great healing. And they also have great sugar. They have sugar as well, which is, of course, very important.
It is. Have you ever visited Lollapalooza?
We were supposed to visit when we were taking uh, Mesopotamia home to check in with her pimp after the first year of my administration. And there was bad weather. There was nasty weather at Lollapalooza, and we couldn't, unfortunately, go.
Such a coincidence that besides Lollapalooza being a country, it is also a music festival.
Well, that's, I mean, hopefully General Poolza is getting a little bit of a taste, because I can tell you if they were running if Europe was having a Trump concert, you better believe I would be getting a lot of that money for our country and for me.
Do you know you're very deep into the hip hop world with all your connections and helping people, being a ghostwriter. Do you know DaBaby? Do you know who DaBaby is?
Well, I'm more familiar with abortion, to be honest. I've had a lot more of those in my life. But no, I've actually been talking about doing a collab with DaBaby. And he said, as long as that F word Pence isn't around, and I said, you got it, DaBaby. There will be no big game Mike Pence at our recording session. And no, but it's a disgrace what they're doing. They're trying to cancel him for free speech, And, this is what the radical left was going to do. First, they complain about, oh, you said this in high school. Oh, look at what you tweeted 40 years ago. And now you have somebody who's a DaBaby, and they're actually holding it against him, what he said as a DaBaby.
That's his rap name, DaBaby. He said it as an adult.
At some point, we're going to be, canceling the sperm.
No, Mr. President, DaBaby is
the horny thought. The foreplay. We're going to keep going. The foreplay is now canceled. Even before it became an egg and a sperm and a DaBaby. The foreplay you're canceled because you said something homophobic.
Well, they did cancel him from the Lollapalooza Music Festival.
And that's why he will be co-headlining with Michael Che at the Epstein Nasser fundraiser at Mar-a-Lago this weekend.
But do you know why they're canceling him?
I said Epstein Nasser, just in case anybody's confused. We're having a very powerful fundraiser for forgotten heroes.
For the gymnast doctor also. What respect he has.
We will be sending care packages to his prison.
Well, he did make some homophobic remarks at a concert in Miami, talking about AIDS, HIV, making slurs against gay people, and they didn't want him performing at Lollapalooza because of this. So instead, you're going to have him perform at Mar-a-Lago with Michael Che.
Exactly.
Okay.
And guest of honor, General Poolza will be coming. Front row seats for the general.
Well, speaking of free speech, you are on Getter. You're on Getter, the new social media app,
as well as Pin Her Down.
I think it's kind of a straight Getter is a strange name for it, but it's promoting of free speech, right? Free speech for anyone. There's no censorship.
So free, it practically costs nothing.
Now, it's a very pro Trump social media site, and now it is filled with beheading videos, terrorist propaganda for the Islamic State, and memes that promote violence against the West. Do you think that is?
So it's January 6th highlights. It's like NBA TV Classic. This is like MAGA Classic.
You don't think that's dangerous?
It's called free speech. It's called free speech. And if you hide what these radical Islamic terrorists do, then That's part of the goal of free speech is everybody on Getter can see these animals destroying human life. We're very pro-life.
Now, I'm
And
going to ask you if you still think it should be free speech. Do you know there is a meme or GIF featuring you in a Guantanamo Bay orange jumpsuit? And I think it's you being beheaded in this kind of cartoonish kind of thing that they put out. Do you still support the free speech?
well, that's funny you should bring that up because that's actually the album cover for my rap debut featuring DaBaby, produced by Nasser Studios and Epstein Productions. And it's called The Head of the State. So actually, it's called good promotion. So thank you, Getter. Thank you.
Okay, I think that's horrible how it's violence against the West. They hate us, and yet we're giving them a
Because they ain't us, which is actually track 2 on my album.
but we're giving them a platform to them for them to spread hatred against America.
And the back cover, by the way, is a cartoon of Nancy Pelosi spreading her legs, and it says in between "hatred of America" in between her legs. So, it feels like you should probably pre-order it on mypillow.com. That's the only place you can buy it right now.
He's selling pillows and your rap album.
Bingo.
Nice. Well, before we get to questions, Mr. President, we always do the first episode of the month. We have questions from the listeners and the fans and everyone on social media. Again, I just want to say our live podcast for our Perfect 10 Patreon Patriots is August 19th. That is Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. I don't know Mountain and all the other times, but I'm just giving you East Coast, West Coast. And to join and listen to that and be a part of it, patreon.com/MPGA. Join and be a part of this special live episode that we're going to do a little later and hopefully have more West Coasters on with us. Now, Mr. President, we have questions that came in from our listeners, and we'll go to Instagram first. Instagram, the gram was not very heavy in questions. Usually they do very well. I think Twitter won this week for this month.
Well, that's good for Twitter because Facebook had been really dominating for a few months.
Yes, Facebook has a couple of questions, but it's really Twitter took it. The first question, we have to go to our Patreon president, Otto the dog. Sir, Mr. President, sir. So Patreon patrons get discounted rates at the Trump Hotel in D.C. for 813. Yours truly, Patreon President Otto. Otto wants a free reservation at one of your hotels. Can you hook that up, or will Otto the dog have to pay? Or do you even let dogs in your hotels?
We recently redid the laws because obviously we can't keep out our Patreon president. So Otto actually can attend the hotel for free. How about that?
Wow.
Free.
Wow.
As long as he brings one paying adult customer and at a very reasonable rate of $42,000 a night.
I think that's fair. So Otto the dog, the free night is yours. Our next comes from Terlin on Instagram. Mr. President, Dr. Trump, Sir Esquire. Now that Bill and Melinda Gates are officially divorced, with what level of strength do you think weak Bill Gates signed their divorce papers? It was it strongly or very strongly, or was it something that maybe Terlin didn't mention? Thank you, sir.
Well, Bill Gates has spent too much time trying to plant microchips into great patriots, and he forgot how to be a man. I would know. First of all, he should have had a powerful prenup like I do. And I have a backup to the prenup, which is called a hit squad to make you and your family disappear.
Okay.
Now Bill Gates, for all his billions and billions of dollars, is obviously a very weak person. There's two types of billionaires. There's the type that are stronger than their money. The money is just part of the strength equation. And then you have weak billionaires like Bill Gates, who all they have is the money. And if you take away the money, they fall like a dog. And I think he signed it with a limp Mike Pence wrist, which is the least amount of strength possible.
Wow. So you think without his money, he is nothing?
He is a weak, he's basically a weak, arthritic Mark Zuckerberg.
Okay.
Just a strange nerd.
Okay. Well, our next question we have from Facebook. It's the only question I'm going to read. It comes from our former Patreon president, Rudley, with the hardest R possible. Mr. President, sir, Doctor, Esquire, still respectable and respectful towards you. What are your thoughts on Kokomo Harris declining popularity in the recent polls, and how do you think this can aid your reelection in 2024?
It's great to see that America truly, truly hates Black women. And that will play into our hands beautifully. Because what we're going to do is, and I'm just sharing this with the podcast, this is sort of top secret campaigning. Because, of course, wink, wink, I'm not running yet. We're going to say that Sleepy Joe is basically, it's like a gender reverse driving Miss Daisy. It's driving Mr. Biden. And, you know, Biden's sitting there with his applesauce in the White House nursing home. And Kokomo Harris is saying, I'm trying to drive you to the stove. And then at the end, Sleepy Joe says, Koala Bear, you're my best friend. And the point is, we're going to portray it that Sleepy Joe doesn't know what's going on. And it's actually Koala Bear Harris doing everything. And as her ratings slip, more people are going to blame her. She's not going to be able to run for the presidency. She's going to quit on her gymnastics team. And we win in a landslide against old Joe or awful Kokomo.
All right. Huge plans. I love it.
And I wish you had respected the powerful Morgan Freeman impression a little bit more.
My apologies.
Not accepted.
We're going to Twitter now. And this comes from, well, before I ask you this, have you spoken to Shinzo during the Olympics for the last week and a half or so and talked to him about the Olympics?
We talked about Simone Biles. It was one of our few arguments, to be honest. But respectful arguments. We're two great people. So,
well, I hope you can give us some information here because at BS Detector _ on Twitter, the independent dude, he writes, "Sir, Mr. President, sir, everyone is very respectful with their posts. They know. Can you please ask Shinzo for his extended thoughts on the Olympics, including political gestures by African-American athletes? We'd love to hear him speak a lot more. Do you have any information for us from Shinzo? And maybe you can tell us some things that he said."
We had two. That's a great question. And we did have two discussions, Shinzo and I. One was, of course, about Simone Biles. And I said, can you believe what she's doing? Can you believe how she's disrespecting our country? And Shinzo said to me, mental health is important. And, we politely disagreed. I said, defending a country is even more important than mental health. And he told me all sorts of, stuff about the past in Japan. I wasn't really paying attention, and how it used to be a more rigid culture and they're trying to be a little more understanding. And I said to Shinzo, they're not making them like you anymore. And if you let your country become weak, and quit on things and worry about mental health, you won't even have a country anymore. And we disagreed. It was the one time I thought Shinzo, he's allowed to feel this way, but I thought he was a little soft. I thought he was going to say, I was so surprised because I thought he was going to say, if Simone Biles was Japanese, we give her sword and say, keep your honor. And I thought, well, that's what I thought it was going to be, but it wasn't. He was actually a little weak. As far as the African Americans making gestures, Shinzo was not so happy. He was more with me. He was sort of pro Simone Biles, but anti gestures on the medal stand. I remember it was so strange because I thought he was going to be soft on the medal stands because he was soft on Simone Biles, but I was actually on speakerphone with him when one of these athletes did their gestures, and he said, "You no come to my country and shame the medal stand." So he was very like. I actually was like, "Whoa!" I didn't. You went from thinking Shinzo's too soft to like, Shinzo, I think you're going even a little too hard on the athletes right now. And then I said hard on, and Mike Pence came running in and knocked over another TV.
Our next question comes from at Cletus Hackett. Hello.
Sounds like a strong supporter of mine.
Yes. Hello, Mr. President, sir. I have a question about BGMP. I have heard that his nickname is the Conductor because he likes to command so many trains.
Tiffany just showed up. Sorry about that.
His nickname is the Conductor because he likes to command so many trains to run on his tracks. Can you confirm or deny his nickname of the Conductor?
It's close. It's close. We actually call him the Polar Express because he's always covered in white and he loves Christmas movies and powerful trains.
This question comes from TC_Libby from Twitter. They don't address you. Do you want me to still read the question?
This one time. Never read from them again if they ever make this mistake.
I understand. It gives give you a compliment, so that's why I asked you. You're obviously very strong all around, but do you lean more towards powerlifting, bodybuilding, CrossFit, or strongman?
I would say powerlifting, but I had to move to more strongman things because you can't get to your gym when you're the president. So it became a thing of, okay, order up 20 Happy Meals, and then I would lift all the Happy Meals up and move them to another table to work on my powerful strength.
Well, that makes total sense.
But CrossFit is weird. Okay. I leave CrossFit to the weirdos like Martin Taylor Green. And bodybuilding is for, let's just say it's for the people who haven't gotten in touch with their inner Mike Pence yet.
Well, I think this last question kind of sums up our episode here. We've talked a lot about this. And this is from, again, I got to give him two questions in here. The BS Detector _ independent dude. Sir, Mr. President, sir, he addresses you. Can you please tell us about Sir Jeffrey Epstein's friendship with Larry Nassar, the child molesting gymnastics doctor, and how it might relate to the current Olympics?
I mean, really, like we've already addressed this.
I know.
You just wanted him to get credit for having.
I did, yeah. Just basically predicting what was going to be on the podcast. I thought that was pretty impressive.
Well, as my great supporters say about COVID, do your research. If you've done your research, you know that. I don't know if there's anybody more talented. Jeffrey Epstein is a sir for a reason. Incredibly talented, but if you say to me, what if Jeff Epstein also had a medical degree? I would say, I don't know if one person can have that much talent. And so they were good friends. They shared tips together. I think, it was. I don't have the personal relationship with Nasser that I had with Jeffrey Epstein, so I can't speak for his character. He might not have been a good person. I don't know. Some people say he wasn't a great guy, and maybe he wasn't. But, I think they were just, two patriots. And there's a lot of ways to patriotism.
One more question here. Have it a real question instead of just showing a prediction of one of the listeners. And this comes from at Cam Nielsen 3. Sir, Mr. President, sir.
Is that black quarterback for the Patriots?
No, it's Cam Newton.
Oh.
This
Fig
person,
Newton.
this person has
Don't you say Fig Newton around Cam Newton. They might think you said something else.
Yeah, I wouldn't try it. But this person has no picture for their Twitter profile, which I always think is always a little sketchy. No picture of the egg, always sketchy. But, sir, Mr. President, sir, any thoughts on Sleepy Joe Biden's whispering?
Oh, he said he's a creep, and he's basically a race reverse driving Miss Daisy. So, we don't have a president. We have.
You don't think the whisper is a trick, Mr. President? Like, when if someone talks really low, then you have to really listen carefully. So maybe it makes people pay extra attention. You don't think that's like a trick or something where he's whispering?
Well, I yell and curse a lot, and I have rallies of 20,000 people.
Right.
So,
But everyone has their own tricks of the trade.
Right, exactly. I have a successful trick of the trade. Sleepy Joe has a whispering, dumb fuck, stupid thing.
Okay. That explains that one. Oh, Mr. President, those are all the questions from our listeners for this month. Again, want to thank betonline.ag. Make your bets there. Also, just a reminder, August 19th, Thursday night, 9 p.m., the live episode for our Perfect 10 Patreon Patriots, patreon.com/MPGA. Mr. President, any parting words for our listeners?
The original name of Getter was supposed to be Nasser until, after the astronauts.
Okay.
And we decided to go with Getter instead, and I think that was probably a strong choice.
Very strong.
So what I would say is, can I talk freely now?
Yes.
Hey, everybody. If you were I guess this is the first episode since I did the show in Boston, because we recorded before then. So a lot of fans showed up. So thank you, everybody who showed up. It was a great night, and I really appreciate it. So going forward, the next two things I can tell you about, September 26th, I'm in Philly at Helium. On October 6th, I'm at Raleigh, North Carolina at Good Nights. So if you're in either of those areas, get your tickets now. And then, of course, my special taping is October 23rd in New York City. All that's on my website. So go listen to my other podcast for non-Larry Nasser content. And as always, very much appreciate you guys supporting the show and listening. And if tech stuff has nothing to add, God help us all.